for council support, and in this case there's a letter attached. They got some training money and they essentially want to rent a larger space to provide that training, and they're asking for council to go from $1,000 a month to I think $2,500 a month in funding for them. Once again, I'm looking for any information council may not see in this report that it requires to make the decisions, and this is probably even a better example of what Councillor Harris talked about, a regional service. Ground search and rescue is clearly a regional service, and it probably would fit nicely under the umbrella of public safety. That is a mandate that the RSC has assumed, and while for this year it's still with us, it is one of the files we would intend on talking to the RSC about in January and February as far as transitioning to have them handle more regional stuff. But for the time being, they've requested it from the city. The RSC budget's already out and being, sent around for public dissemination. I doubt at this point we could send this file to the RSC and say, could you give them their money moving forward next year? So I believe this would be a city decision to make at least, in the fall of 2024.
Councillor Ross Robinson.
Thank you, Worship. I would like to have some input from the police. It's my understanding or my recall that they put that money in their budget, and they are the liaisons with this group, and I would like to know how it's been working out in the last couple of years since we've given them a budget line. And after that, I might be able to make a decision.
Yeah, I guess on this one, Mr. Manager, like a couple of things. And by the way, I echo your comments that I do feel like this is something that needs to migrate to the RSC, like even more obviously than an SPCA. This is now part of like a mandated service, and it is unquestionably regional. It's also unquestionable, by the way, that what the ground search and rescue folks do in our community is incredibly important and valuable. I will say that, but we must make sure that we make good decisions around all financial decisions, any decision really. What I don't quite understand is that they're saying that they are receiving $840,000 in federal funding to do training, but that is not reflected in the budget that they gave. And like, wouldn't some of that funding that they received to do training go towards a facility to execute the training? So I guess I'd like to maybe have some clarity from them on what's the breakdown of the federal funds, and is there not an allotment of that for a facility for training? Another thing I would ask is how often is the training going to happen? Because like, it's kind of like Mr. Babineau in the bus. Like, if you need extra bus for 1 hour a day, you don't have to go buy the big bus and run it all day long. Like, if you only need this bigger facility for training a few times a month, you don't need, in my opinion, to rent an extra facility for an entire month. Maybe you just need to rent it a few times when you're doing the training. So like, to that point, I would ask, like, do we have any city facilities that we might be able to rent them when needed for these trainings, like maybe the Eco Center or the Golden Hawk? I don't know what they need, honestly, but I guess I'd like to make sure that we understand what the need actually is. Like, rather than just saying we need some money, they really need space to execute training, and I would just like to know, can we help with the space, and is there not some of the federal funds that might be able to be used towards procuring a space?
Yeah, we can ask for that information from them. I'm not sure about the space requirements and how often they need them. It's a challenge for us. The only other thing I'd add, it would be that this happened before they got this funding, and I remember when the funding came in, there was some frustration, at least on the staff part, that the money went for rental of a facility, and because the organization has, as everybody knows, been looking for a home they can own. And, and the idea would be, if when you're scoring almost $1 million, if you're using it for rent, are we foregoing an opportunity to solve a home problem? We probably would explore that with them on their budget stuff, because this is the second time they were fortunate enough to get this type of funding.
I wonder too, like, and just, it might be worth asking, like, it's just like helping people figure out, it's a good thing, like, can we make it work in the community without having to go to where they want to go? But is there an opportunity to partner with NBCC? Like, they have that world-class fireman training facility in Douglastown, and, it's used once a year and a bit more by New Brunswick firefighters, but, could they partner there and maybe contribute, or I don't know. It's just like it's a space that's built for training for this type of stuff and not used all the time. So I just, in a friendly way, ask if, they had ever looked into that.
No, they've indicated you were correct, 1,200 square feet. If they're only doing that every couple of weeks, the city probably has space that we could accommodate. Is if they need it to be dedicated for the whole 2 years, that'd be another challenge that would be a struggle for us. But if it's, every 3 weeks, we're bringing teams in from different provinces, surely we could make a city facility available of that size for a specific defined period. We will look into that.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I think this is directed at Manager Mike. Mike, maybe this is a time to maybe invite Ground Search and Rescue in for one of our noon hour meetings, because I have met with these folks regarding this grant or money they are receiving, and it is a little deeper in the sense that they want to rent the other portion of the current building they're in to expand their operation on the same footprint that they're at with training for the maritime provinces. So maybe, I'm not suggesting you're not going to ask the right questions, but maybe a quick 10, 15 minutes from Membership Ground Search and Rescue may help us understand the scope of the whole ask here.
Shouldn't be a problem. I believe we have standing committees, 2 of them scheduled for next week. And we can get the week after, the following week. So in 2 weeks, we could get them in to give some questions as you get information. I understand getting an answer and not having them there to follow up. This may be beneficial. So yes, we will extend the invitation.
Thank you, kindly.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's a good, to me, it's more of an informal conversation that needs to happen than sort of a come and present to council. Because, we want to understand what their real needs are and how we can help, and not necessarily by cutting a check. Okay,